Have you ever noticed that sometimes it seems like nothing goes right, even when you do everything right? You wake up, face the same problems, and the cycle continues. It's as if something is blocking the way. What few people know is that there is a specific time, a moment when spiritual energy is at its peak, 3 in the morning. Yes, while most people are asleep, this is the moment when the greatest transformations can take place. And the best part, you don't have to do anything complicated. A prayer at this time can be the key to unlocking all those invisible barriers holding you back. Sounds crazy, right? But people who have adopted this practice know the power it carries. Many people will tell you that waking up at that time is too much of a sacrifice, that it's not worth it. But think about it. If you knew that this simple act could change the course of your life, would you do it? If your struggles, the ones that seem endless, could finally have a solution, wouldn't you want to try? At 3 in the morning, the spiritual world is in motion, and it's the perfect time to pray for breakthroughs, for deliverance. And make no mistake, this is the time when the greatest miracles begin. And you can be part of it. All you need to do is take the first step. Now, if you're tired of seeing things not work out, if you feel like you're stuck in a cycle of frustration, this could be the opportunity you've been waiting for. Imagine waking up tomorrow with the feeling that doors are finally opening, that the clarity you've been asking for is finally coming. It all starts with a simple decision, getting up at 3 in the morning and saying a sincere prayer. Are you curious to know how this works? Then stay with me and discover the power of this sacred time. There's something mysterious about 3 in the morning, isn't there? Many cultures and traditions believe that this time of day has a special meaning, a moment of silence where the world slows down. It's as if the barrier between the physical and the spiritual becomes thinner, creating a unique opportunity for connection. Imagine waking up at this time, when everything is quiet and distraction is minimal, and offering a heartfelt prayer. The effect can be profound, like planting a seed that blossoms throughout the day. It's not just a question of believing, but of experiencing the peace that only those who have prayed at this time know. If you've never tried it, it may seem difficult to imagine the impact of a prayer at 3 in the morning. But think with me. This is the time when many problems seem amplified, whether it's worry about work, health, or relationships. Now, instead of dwelling on your worries, you can channel all that energy into a direct conversation with God. Have you ever heard that God's voice is clearer in silence? Well, waking up at 3 in the morning is like having a direct line to Him, without interference. Many who practice this routine notice how their days become lighter, their decisions wiser, and their problems less overwhelming. Have you ever wondered why so many people of faith around the world choose this time of day? It's no coincidence. They believe that this is the time when spiritual forces are most active, both good and bad. That's why prayer at 3 in the morning is not just an opportunity, but a necessity. It's like strengthening your spiritual armor before facing the day's battlefield. Those who wake up to pray at this time are not only looking for answers, but also for protection and strength to face whatever lies ahead. Do you know when it feels like something is blocking your life? Like you try everything, but things just don't move? This is more common than you might think. And the worst thing is that often the root of the problem isn't even what we see, but what's happening spiritually. The break-up prayer comes precisely to break down these invisible barriers. And the best time to do this? At 3 in the morning. There's something special about this time of day. It's as if things in the spiritual world are more active and your prayer has even more power. Imagine that every time you pray, it's like hammering on a wall that's preventing you from moving forward. Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle? You even know what you need to do, but something else seems to be stopping you. Man, this is more common than it seems, and often the solution isn't something we can see or touch. When we enter into a prayer of breaking up, it's as if we're activating a force that goes beyond what's natural. It's like saying, enough, this ends here and now. And look, it has a real effect. When you start praying at 3 in the morning, you'll notice that some things just start to align. It's not magic, it's spiritual. Now think about it. How many times have you tried to take matters into your own hands, but nothing seems to change? Maybe it's time to change tack. The breakup prayer isn't about asking for simple things, it's about transforming your reality. Sometimes change won't come immediately, but believe me, it's happening. And the secret lies in persisting, praying with faith. When you do this, the spiritual world begins to work in your favor, and little by little, you'll see the signs that transformation is on the way. Have you ever noticed that the best ideas and decisions come when your mind is calm? At 3 in the morning, when everything around you is silent, it's as if the distractions have disappeared and you can finally hear what really matters. This is the perfect time to seek clarity through prayer. When you connect with God at this time, the chance of having a clear vision of what to do increases greatly. It's no wonder that many people use this time to ask for direction at decisive moments in their lives. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. The world is quiet and your heart is more receptive. You know that confusion that sometimes takes over your head. 1,000 ideas, 1,000 worries, and in the end you don't know where to start. Prayer at 3 in the morning can be the solution, not because the time itself is magical, but because it's the moment when you're most present, most open to hearing the answers you need. And don't think that these answers will always come as a loud, clear voice. Sometimes it's a sense of peace about a decision, or an idea that comes out of nowhere and makes you realize the way forward. The important thing is that you are there, open to receive. Now imagine waking up and saying a prayer for clarity about that problem that keeps you up at night. It doesn't have to be a long prayer or full of difficult words. The simple act of asking for direction with an open heart is powerful enough. And 3 o'clock in the morning, when your mind is at its calmest, is the perfect time to do it. Many say that after praying at this time, decisions seem to fall into place. And even if the answers don't come right away, over the course of the day, things start to make more sense. That's the power of the prayer of clarity. Look, one thing's for sure, prayer isn't a magic wand that solves everything overnight. Sometimes you have to insist, and that's the most challenging part, isn't it? When things don't change immediately, we tend to think that God isn't listening. But the truth is that persistence in prayer is where the magic really happens. Constant prayer, especially that early in the morning, goes beyond asking. It's about building a relationship. When you pray persistently, you are showing faith, and God sees that. And the more you persist, the stronger you become. Just think, in life the things we value most are the ones we fight to win, right? It's no different in prayer. Persisting in prayer, even when nothing seems to be happening, is proof of your trust. Have you seen how many stories there are of people who prayed for months, even years, before seeing changes take place? That's because God works in His time, but your part is to keep showing that you believe. And look, at 3 in the morning, when the world is asleep, you're there, firm, praying and believing that change will come. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. Persistence also has another incredible effect. It transforms you. With every prayer, every early morning when you get up to pray, something inside you changes. You start to see things differently. You realize that some answers were already there all along, just waiting to be seen. And the peace that comes from this persistence is indescribable. Even if the problems are still there, you feel more prepared to face them. And that's the point. Prayer doesn't just change what's around you, it changes you from the inside, giving you the strength and clarity to carry on. Creating a 3 a.m. prayer routine is one of those things that may seem difficult at first. But once you adapt, the benefits are gigantic. Waking up every day at that time and setting aside time to pray creates a constancy that begins to shape not only your spirit, but also your mind and emotions. You begin to realize that this small sacrifice has a domino effect on the rest of your day. Your mind becomes clearer, your decisions more assertive, and you start to look at challenges from a new perspective. Routine, in this case, becomes a key to unlocking things you didn't even know you needed. At first, it may seem impossible to get out of bed at 3 a.m., especially if you've never been an early riser. But here's a tip. Start slowly. Choose 2 or 3 days a week to pray at that time. Little by little, your body and mind will adjust, and what once seemed like a sacrifice will become the most anticipated moment of the day, or early morning in this case. And it doesn't have to be a long prayer full of formalities. The important thing is constancy. As you create this routine, you'll notice that God begins to move in unexpected ways, opening doors and bringing solutions that seemed far away before. What's more, creating this routine goes beyond simply looking for answers or miracles. Over time, prayer at 3 a.m. becomes a moment of intimacy and personal connection with God. It's like a private meeting, just you and Him, with no interruptions. At that moment, you don't just talk, you learn to listen. And that's the beauty of routine. The more you practice it, the more you realize that the answers are often already there, waiting to be heard. This constancy shapes you, strengthens you, and makes you feel better prepared to face anything the day throws your way. Now that you know the power of a 3 a.m. prayer, the question remains, are you willing to take that step? Think about the areas of your life that need real change. If you want to see things transformed, if you want to see spiritual breakthroughs, this is the time to act. Don't expect everything to change without effort. Get up, seek, pray in faith, and see how God can begin to move mountains in your life. Are you ready to see miracles happen? Believe me, with persistence and faith, nothing will be impossible. So how about starting right now? Wake up tomorrow at 3 a.m., say this prayer, and see how your life will begin to change. And don't forget to share your experience in the comments. I want to know how this practice has impacted your life. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and together, let's continue exploring the power of prayer and how it can transform our lives. Don't put it off. Transformation begins now.